Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Finley, and I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I'm the crew chief for Team Machine, a two-person team in the Race Across America 2019. Like me, riders Eddie Walker and David Wise also hail from the great state of Ohio. Welcome to the OhioRAAM Show.
Thank you, Becky Finley, for that introduction. Becky is the crew chief for Team Machine, an Ohio-based team, a two-person male team, and they will be on the OhioRAAM show on April the 27th. It won't be the last you'll see of Becky. She is almost sure to make another appearance. And I'm Lee Kreider, the producer of the OhioRAAM show, a show about cycling and ultra-cycling, and this is show number 211. The OhioRAAM show comes to you 3 times a month on the 7th, 17th, and 27th. This show is a service of the Race Across America time stations here in Ohio, time stations 41 in Oxford, time station 42 in Blanchester, and time station 43 in Chillicothe. Don't forget to check the show notes to learn more about today's guest and some other important things there. They all appear right below the video on OhioRAAMshow.com website. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll find a link to the show notes in the description box. There you will also find ways you can connect with the OhioRAAM show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On today's show, we're back to London once again, where we're going to meet Adrian O'Sullivan. We caught him on a street in downtown London. Adrian is the founder of the TransAtlantic Way race, which he now calls a ride. I think it's a distinction without a difference, but we'll let Adrian explain that. Well, we're headed over to London, England, and you're outside there somewhere. Adrian, tell me where you're at.
Yeah, I'm in North London. I'm right next to Regent's Canal in Camden Town. It's about the quietest place I could find.
Adrian, tell me a little about yourself, other than the world of cycling.
Well, I'm a father of 3 boys. I'm 50 years of age, and I work in construction. I work in civil engineering, and we specialise in basement construction, tunneling in under big houses in London.
So you're one of those people that digs up London, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, I like to dig holes for a living.
Tell me a little bit about your cycling background, how you got into it, and what you've been involved with.
Okay, well, I've always cycled as a young kid, and then I cycled to school, and then I cycled to work, and I only really took up sort of cycling as a sport about 5 or 6 years ago. I think when I started off through triathlons, a classic case of trying to get fit. I wasn't very fast, but I'm very competitive. So I didn't, the shorter distances, I'd be sort of last. But the longer the distances were, the more I kind of went up the field. I just got in, first 10 miles, then 100 miles. And now sort of 200 miles a day is doable. So it was basically because I could.
Okay, and tell me some of the events that you have been in.
Done 3 Ironmen, and that kind of alerted me to my cycling ability, because I remember of a field of like 1,000 athletes, I used to get out of the water about 800th, and you get on the bike to do 120 kilometers. And when I got off the bike, I'd have sort of overtaken nearly 500 people, and I'd be sort of like 300th in the field. So that kind of, got me into the cycling more than anything. So the first big long distance cycle I did as a race was the TransAm, Trans-American Bike Race, which is it's a bit similar to the RAM, but it's the self-supported version where you have to pack all your own gear and carry it with you and feed yourself and find somewhere to stay. I love that, and I've done London to Istanbul. I've done the second edition of the Trans Continental, which is another quite popular self-supported bike packing race.
And the Trans Continental is across Europe, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. The year I did it was from London to Istanbul. So that's about 4,100 kilometers.
And if I'm not mistaken, help me with that, Adrian. I believe that on that race, you are not given a specific route, but just checkpoints that you have to check into. Is that correct?
That's correct, Jay. You have to make your own route. So I did it on the phone, actually. I did it with Ride GPS. And then in the supported style type of racing, I think it was 3 years ago, I did the race around Ireland, which is the Irish version of the RAM.
Yes.
And that was fantastic. I love that. And then last year, I bit off a bit more than I could chew. And I rode in the Trans-Siberian Challenge, which is in its third year this year. And that goes from Moscow to Vladivostok. I love saying that because it's all the way across Russia, 9,000 kilometers. I got as far as Novosibirsk, which is about 3,500 kilometers. And my head exploded. Not literally, but the head went, and that was it. I couldn't cycle one kilometer more.
You were a part of getting the TransAtlantic Way race started, were you not?
That's correct, Joe. I was a big part in that, yeah.
And tell me about the TransAtlantic Way. What is that?
I thought I'd create the unsupported version of it, which was the TransAtlantic Way. And that starts in Dublin, and then they cycle all the way up to the north of Ireland to Derry, and then they follow the west coast of Ireland all the way around to Cork. So it's 2,500 kilometres, and it primarily follows a route that the Irish Tourism Board created about 4 years ago called the Wild Atlantic Way. And all they basically did was join up all the coastal roads in Ireland and coin the phrase, the Wild Atlantic Way. But it's basically the best of what Ireland's got to offer. That west coast, it was sort of missed out by the Industrial Revolution. So, you're cycling along and you could be back in 300 or 400 years ago, with stone cottages, small roads, not very built up. And because it's quite touristy, it's full of places to eat, places to stay. And the people are a little bit more relaxed and friendly on the west coast of Ireland than they are on the east.
Now, I was interested in something you said in your bio you sent to me, that you have had some second thoughts about unsupported racing. Would you talk about that a little bit?
I think we'll leave the long distance ultra racing to the supported fraternity. I think self-supported, I think it's okay to have a challenge, and it's okay to set yourself a goal, and it's okay to ride the bike as fast as you want. But when you start phrasing that into a word like a race, just personally for me, it just didn't sit right in my stomach. I won't say taking the word race out makes it any safer, because it doesn't. The dangers are there whether you're racing or you're not racing. Yeah, so this year was the last year it was run as a race. So next year it's going ahead in the exact same format, but I'm not calling it a race. What does that mean? Not much, really. All the rules are going to be the same. I don't want people drafting. I want it to be a solo experience. I thought the figures would fall a bit. I thought, okay, most people are doing it because it's a race. But I've probably got about the same amount of people signed up to do next year as I had this time last year. So sort of downscaling it from a race to a ride, I don't really see has made much difference to the number of people that want to do it. I think.
And how many people have you had? How many people did you have last year?
Well, last year I had 180, and
Okay.
This year I've got 120 signed up.
Will we see you in the United States anytime soon, Adrian?
When I did the race around Ireland, I qualified for the RAM, and every now and then they send me, reminder emails, and it really does massage your ego, because a lot of the club cyclists that I cycle with, for them, the RAM is the mecca, or, it's like the blue ribbon of long distance cycling. And the fact that I actually qualified for a place and they keep inviting me to come over. I've already cycled across America, and it was such an amazing experience.
I love your beard, Adrian. You said it grew as your interest in cycling grew.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a bit of a Rasputin look tonight. I don't know what that light's doing, but I look quite a bit Russian. But the beard is getting wizard-like status. I've got to shave it off every 2 years. My wife is Jewish, so we have I've got 3 kids, and there's 2 years in between them. and they're all up to bar mitzvah age.
Oh,
So
okay.
every time there's a bar mitzvah, I've got to give it a trim.
Yeah, you have to,
So-
have to shave
so
your beard
I
off.
think this March has got to come down to about there, and then I can start growing it again.
Adrian, before we say goodbye, what are your plans for next year?
Well, I've only got one race on the calendar, and that's the Joe Barr 500-mile ultra Donegal Challenge, and that's in January, February, March. It's in May, and it's ran by Joe Barr, who's a very famous Irish cyclist. I think you've had him on the show before. And,
I have.
It's a new race that he's promoting in Donegal.
Thank you for being on the show, Adrian. We wish you well in the Transatlantic Way, and that's a beautiful part of Ireland over there.
That's it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Lee.
Well, thank you, Adrian, for guesting with us. And we want to thank those of you who view the show. We appreciate you. We especially appreciate those of you who support the show on the social media. Our next show, we're going to have Janie Hayes, who rode in the 12-hour World Time Trial Championships in Borrego Springs and did quite well. We'll talk about that when we meet again on February 27th. So with that, we're going to say goodbye. See you again in about 10 days.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.